Welcome to ChessWire. I'm your host, Adam Carter, with your chess news. Today is Tuesday, September 13th, 2022. And your headlines: the Niemann Carlsen rematch at the Julius Baer Generation Cup still appears to be good to go. Also, Chess.com will be giving away $100,000 to anyone who can predict a perfect bracket score at the CGC. We did the math, and we've got your odds. All today on ChessWire. Now, let's get to your headlines. Hans Niemann versus Magnus Carlsen, Julius Baer Generation Cup live by Nikita. The Julius Baer Generation Cup is the 7th event of the Meltwater Champions Chess Tour and takes place from the 18th to the 25th of September on chess24.com. The event will feature 16 world-class players spanning the age spectrum. World-class champion Magnus Carlsen will headline the field and meet again with 19-year-old Hans Niemann. After Niemann defeated the world chess champion Magnus Carlsen in the third round of the Sinkfield Cup, Carlsen decided to withdraw from the tournament without detailed explanations. So, my very first question is, what in the hell is going on? First of all, after he withdrew from the tournament, everybody jumped to the conclusion that it was because Niemann had cheated. But here he is again, and this tournament, it appears to be on, and without any type of withdrawal, without blacklisting Niemann. So I'm like, all right, so what was the real reason that Magnus withdrew? And also, if I go back into kind of a sub-question here with chess.com, they pulled and blacklisted Niemann, Hans Niemann, from any of the events, including the aforementioned CGC event that's going to be held next week. Or is it this week? I think it's this week, actually, on the 15th, maybe. Anyways, so they blacklist Hans Niemann, and now I'm starting to think, if they're not blacklisting Niemann from this tournament or any of the other Meltwater champion chess tournaments, then maybe chess.com didn't get any word from Magnus to ban him from those chess.com events. I'm starting to think now that this whole thing may have been some type of plot to, or ploy or whatever, to raise money or or promote, I should say, this Meltwater Champions Chess tournament, especially this particular round, which I believe is the 6th round, is where, yeah, it's the 6th round where Niemann will play the white pieces again versus Carlsen with the black pieces. So my whole thought about this is, one, I'm not so sure anymore that Magnus went to chess.com and said, hey, blacklist Hans Niemann from any more of the online events. I think that was all on chess.com by itself. And so I'm starting to roll back that, unless, of course, we see that at the last minute here, they go ahead and blacklist Niemann, or because I'm just finding this really unprecedented. If you like, or unless I know that the Play Magnus group, though, is also one besides Julius Baer, which I believe is like an investment bank or some type of bank, and but the other sponsor, the co-sponsor, is the Play Magnus group. So maybe they're going to have extraordinary fair play prevention tactics and more security than they did at Sinkfield. I'm not for certain on that. Maybe they'll be all playing in a Faraday cage or something. I don't know. We'll find out. But it looks like this is still on. So lots more questions that need to be answered. This actually creates more questions in my mind. We still haven't heard from Magnus, so we really just don't know what is going to happen here. But I'm assuming this is on. But at the same time, I'm just missing the whole reason why we're not going to see Hans play in the CGC on chess.com. So, I mean, it's like, he did admit to the cheating and everything. He apologized. We want to know if Danny Rinch came to him in Miami, if that was a lie. So this just creates a lot more questions than it does answers. But like anyone else, if it was a promotion tactic, it worked, because I will definitely be watching. We'll be tuning in and keeping you up to date with all the action at that Meltwater tournament and anything else that comes up. On to chess.com, they say participate in our $100,000 bracket contest. So this is really, really cool. Now, this is very similar to what Warren Buffett did. This was back in 2014 with the NCAA basketball playoff tournament. There were 64 teams, and Warren Buffett said, if anyone can accurately predict a perfect bracket for the NCAA that year, that he would give them $1 billion. And so, of course, everybody wanted to jump in and do the math, and the math is actually the same as it is here, because we have 64 participants, and which will total 63 games. And when I went over, I went ahead and found another guy who's nerdier than myself, who already did this math quite a while ago, and he said this was back in 2014. He said this past week Warren Buffett announced that he is backing an offer for $1 billion to whoever picks a perfect bracket for this year's NCAA basketball tournament. And so this was 8 years ago, but the news has typically been accompanied in the press by mention of the absurdly small probability of picking such a perfect bracket, usually quoted as 1 and 9.2 quintillion, or 1 to the second 63rd power. So basically what this means in terms of just guessing, if you don't, and that number assumes that you know nothing about chess, nothing about the actors, or the players I should say, and nothing about any of their recent scores. So if you just go in guessing, that would be your odds for predicting a perfect bracket would be 1 in 9.2 quintillion, which I don't even know, like I can't even fathom that. But if you do know something about the players, I'm assuming that those odds go down, and that would be different for any type of knowledge base that you would have about every single one of the players. So the more knowledge base, I would assume, the further the odds would decrease, or your odds would increase at that point with the more knowledge base per player. I myself am going to play it. They've got it so it's set up this way, so you go here and fill out the bracket. Now here's the thing with the prizes, which is a little bit of a gotcha, and that is only a perfect bracket will win the $100,000 prize, which will be shared in the event of multiple perfect predictions. So let's say that you've got 10 other people. That means $10,000 per person, right? The chances of anyone winning this, like, I'll be surprised if one person predicts them all, but you never know. It could happen. There are a lot of people out there with some pretty good analytical skills when it comes to chess matches. So anyway, you hit the button to go fill out the bracket, and then you're taken to this web page, which is like, this seems to be on a sub server here on chess.com, where you'll go ahead and fill this out, and you'll be logged in, and then you can start predicting the matches. There's some really great lineups in here I'm looking forward to. Vladimir Kramnik is going to be playing. Let's see here. We've got Ding Liren. Vishy Anand is playing. I'm really looking forward to that. Haven't seen him play for a while. We've got Anish Giri. He'll be in there. Ion Panamachi. Some big names. Fabi's playing. We've got also some women mixed in here, which is really great as well. I noticed that let's see here. Who was that? I think it was Yifan Hao is playing as well, if I remember correctly. So we've got some big players here. I think this is going to be a great event. I'm going to keep you up to date on it. If you got your brackets and you want to comment on who you think is going to win, some of these first 32 games here, I'd love to see it in the comments, see what your predictions are, and see who you think, or maybe just who you think is going to make it to the number one, the last game here, the 63rd game. Who do you think is going to end up there? Put it in the comments. I'd love to see it. Tell me about why you think that's going to happen, and maybe just so I can cheat a little bit. Anyways, so there you have it. We still haven't heard from Magnus, but apparently he's going to be playing Hans in a rematch at the Julius Baer tournament, and we're looking forward to this big CGC event that chess.com is holding. We're going to see if there's going to be a perfect prediction in the CGC bracket. If there is, they're going to have to part ways with that $100,000. Thank you so much for watching and listening to ChessWire. Have a good one.